she's an asshole.
Says also, it's very disturbing.
What an idiot I've been as a young person.
And Rachel Zegler, being 23 or whatever she is, like so many kids raised on TikTok.
The group chat leak hit the internet like a meteor, and within hours, it sparked one of the most heated Disney fan revolts in recent memory. Screenshots, initially dismissed as blurry fabrications, circulated faster than anyone could contain them. As soon as people took a closer look, they noticed consistent usernames, matching timestamps, and references to behind-the-scenes details that only an insider would know.
That took the word out of my mouth, but that, I'm a narcissist.
Then, in bright, undeniable text, it appeared, Rachel Zegler, apparently mocking the very people who'd lined up to support her. The unfiltered comments went after loyal Disney fans with jabs about costume dads, low IQ obsessives, and the cringe factor of crying over theme park parades.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
Within minutes, outraged viewers lit up social media calling for her immediate recasting, if not a permanent exile from the franchise altogether. Rumors spread that these messages came from a private group chat where Rachel had felt safe to share her unvarnished thoughts. One supposed friend from that circle decided to record everything, either for leverage or out of pure spite. The timing was especially catastrophic, given how much tension already surrounded the upcoming Snow White remake. Disney's usual response, to tamp down controversy with carefully worded press releases, didn't come fast enough this time. The leak set off a chain reaction of hashtags like "Hosh not my Snow White" and "Shosh replace Rachel." Plus, heated debates over whether an actress should ever ridicule the core fandom that made her famous. Outrage poured from every corner of the internet, and it only intensified when some fans discovered even more disparaging remarks about cosplayers, families devoted to Disney traditions, and the so-called stalker vibes Rachel believed old-school fairy tale romances promoted.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937.
I'm the hottest person in the world.
As fans dug deeper, they realized the story wasn't as simple as Rachel randomly deciding to blast Disney devotees. According to one unverified source, tensions had been simmering for months between her and a friend-turned-betrayer, someone who felt slighted or demeaned by Rachel's rising stardom. That person allegedly recorded every chat, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Overnight, the star of Snow White morphed from a Disney darling to an industry pariah, with thousands of outraged supporters vowing never to watch a minute of her performance. Subreddits dedicated to Disney trivia and princess fandom lit up with angry posts. Many who once adored her in West Side Story or followed her social media for behind-the-scenes glimpses now felt personally insulted. When the online fury reached a boiling point, fan communities were no longer asking for an apology. They demanded heads to roll, namely Rachel's. Some wondered if this was another test of cancel culture, while others insisted it was a matter of accountability. After all, fans argued, if she truly felt fans were weird, pathetic, or in need of therapy, she had no business representing a beloved princess cherished for generations. Disney's PR department went into crisis mode behind the scenes, though publicly they stayed silent longer than usual, which fueled speculation that the studio might be scrambling to figure out their next move.
Am I a psychopath?
With no immediate statement from Rachel or her team, online forums and gossip channels started floating conspiracy theories. One theory posited that Disney executives themselves orchestrated the leak to shift blame for Snow White's sinking prospects. Another speculation cast Rachel as the victim, with claims that a vengeful ex-assistant had fabricated the screenshots using advanced AI. Tech-savvy fans, however, pored over each message, pointing out real-time references and consistent conversation flow, concluding that these leaks looked painfully authentic. As days ticked by, Rachel's silence continued to baffle her followers. She unliked a few tweets defending her, fueling rumors that Disney's legal team had advised her not to stir the pot. Some insisted she was lying low to let the outrage blow over. Others suspected she might be negotiating behind closed doors to secure her place in the film or salvage her broader Hollywood career. Meanwhile, older clips of her interviews resurfaced. Moments where she'd called the 1937 Snow White outdated, dismissed Prince Charming as a stalker, and questioned the entire premise of Happily Ever After.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
Once upon a time, those comments seemed like a straightforward push for a modern twist on the classic fairy tale. Now fans were replaying them as evidence of a deeper contempt for Disney's legacy and for the audience that cherishes the original. Even though the noise surrounding these leaked messages was deafening, the real shockwave landed when the film itself premiered to near-empty theaters. Multiple media outlets reported that Snow White was shaping up to be one of the biggest box office disasters of the year. With a colossal budget reportedly hovering around $250 million and marketing that stretched the ledger even further, Disney needed a massive turnout to recoup costs. What they got instead was a lukewarm opening weekend, dropping off sharply in its second frame. Critics lambasted the film for lacking the enchanting fairy tale essence that made the 1937 version iconic. Gone was the prince, replaced by a new storyline heavy on empowerment themes that critics said felt more like a lecture than an adventure. Beloved songs, including Someday My Prince Will Come, were either trimmed or scrapped entirely to avoid any hint of romantic dependence. Viewers complained that the film had lost its heart. It introduced a Snow White who yearned for power and independence, but seemingly sneered at anything that might be construed as traditional romance or fairy tale wonder. While some embraced this shift as a timely update, many found it jarring and joyless. The overshadowing drama from Rachel's leaked messages made it all the more toxic. Even casual viewers who might have judged the movie on its own merits saw the swirling controversies and opted to steer clear. On social media, people used words like preachy and soulless, contending that if the leading actress seemed to hate the film's legacy fans, why should they support her work?
If I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
To make matters worse, Rachel tried to poke fun at the emptiness of the theaters with a short TikTok video. In it, she strutted up to a box office, brandishing Snow White-themed popcorn buckets and a big grin. She asked for a ticket, leaned in for comedic effect, only for the attendant to respond with total indifference. For which movie?
Please?
For which movie?
The humor fell flat, coming off as forced self-awareness. Many perceived it as mockery of the film's flop and the fans' grievances, rather than a playful attempt to reconnect. Comments poured in calling the video cringe, tone-deaf, and a tragic demonstration of someone disconnected from the magnitude of public sentiment. Within the studio walls, insiders whispered that this fiasco had ignited new debates on how Disney manages live-action remakes. In the aftermath, there were rumors of board-level discussions about scaling back political messaging in beloved IPs. Unnamed sources told entertainment outlets that future remakes like Lilo and Stitch might see significant rewrites to avoid the same pitfalls. Executives, it seemed, finally recognized that drastically reimagining classics without balancing nostalgia can backfire spectacularly when audiences feel their cherished stories are being hijacked rather than updated. Rachel had intended to modernize the fairy tale, but many fans accused her of bulldozing it instead. The drama leaked into other areas of Disney's empire. Theme park influencers, usually the most upbeat, family-friendly voices, began urging the company to speak out. These were the folks who live-streamed parade shows and food festivals, rarely straying into online controversies. Yet they saw the fans' distress and recognized how damaging Rachel's alleged comments were. For them, it wasn't just about a single actress's missteps. It was about whether Disney still valued the community that spends money at the parks, buys merchandise, and invests emotionally in the brand. In typical Hollywood fashion, once the press smelled blood in the water, Rachel's older interviews, tweets, and public statements were dissected. Clips circulated of her describing older Disney films as problematic, rolling her eyes when talking about fairy tale nonsense, and emphasizing that Snow White, in her version, didn't need love. Supporters claimed she was misunderstood, that she was championing a more empowered portrayal. Critics countered that empowerment needn't come with scorn for traditional romance. The friction reached a fever pitch when a few big names tangentially linked to Disney weighed in. One legendary voice actor from a classic animated feature posted that fans are weird in the best way, and without them, none of us would have careers. That remark, widely interpreted as a jab at Rachel, generated tens of thousands of likes and retweets, further amplifying the discord. Meanwhile, anyone scanning the box office returns knew something bigger was happening. Snow White was on track to lose hundreds of millions after factoring in production, marketing, and distribution expenses. Disney had banked on the synergy of reintroducing a signature princess to a new generation, hoping to replicate the success of earlier live-action remakes. Instead, they were stuck with a swirling storm of bad press, fan boycotts, and a leading lady who seemed determined to modernize a fairy tale in ways that pushed away core audiences. Word quickly spread that Disney's next wave of remakes might undergo radical changes, perhaps fewer deviations from the source material, fewer attempts to inject heavy-handed messages, and definitely more caution when casting or coaching talent on how to address legacy fans. High-profile commentators from across the political spectrum joined the debate. Sean Lennon, son of the late John Lennon, slammed Rachel as a disconnected brat, while Danica Patrick, ex-race car driver, reposted a viral rant condemning the actress's supposedly shallow brand of activism. Influencers, public figures, and even random social media personalities jumped into the fray, turning a movie flop into a broader cultural commentary on Hollywood elitism, corporate feminism, and the tension between tradition and modern reinterpretations. Some singled Rachel out as the prime culprit, claiming her outspoken personality and dismissive attitude ignited a fuse. Others argued that the meltdown was a team effort. Writers, producers, marketers, and yes, executives who should have seen the red flags and reined in negative rhetoric. Adding yet another layer of drama, a few pro-Palestine tweets from Rachel allegedly clashed with co-star Gal Gadot's background and beliefs, igniting speculation about on-set conflict. Though neither star publicly addressed any personal rift, tabloids spun the rumor mill, suggesting filming had become tense. And once the press tour began, footage of awkward body language between the two women only fed those stories, leaving fans to guess at the real behind-the-scenes dynamic. Everything seemed to confirm that this project was doomed from the start, hampered by cast friction, a controversial script, ballooning production costs, and the final death blow of a star's leaked opinions toward devoted fans. Some insiders insisted that if not for the group chat scandal, the film still might have had a chance at decent box office numbers, purely out of Disney name recognition. But once you publicly insult the fans, especially diehards who spend a fortune on memorabilia and theme park vacations, there's almost no coming back. That wave of negativity grew too large for any marketing campaign to counter. Potential viewers just didn't want to fork over their hard-earned money to support someone who seemed to sneer at the entire Disney tradition. In the end, a single question lingered. How did a story as timeless as Snow White turn into a cautionary tale of arrogance and fan backlash? Audiences once flooded theaters to relive the magic of Disney's classics, but now they were turning away, disillusioned by the star's attitude and the film's lack of warmth. Many concluded that when a movie's lead trashes not only the original fairy tale but the passionate community behind it, the result is a fiasco nobody can spin. Disney suffered not only a massive loss on its balance sheet, but a blow to its image as a steward of beloved childhood memories. The ripple effect could be felt across the entertainment world, prompting studios to reevaluate how they handle remakes, how they choose their stars, and how those stars communicate with fans. That's the real legacy this film may leave. A stark reminder that no amount of budget or brand recognition can save a project if the audience feels slighted. Fans have more power than ever before to decide a project's fate, and they're not afraid to wield it. Whether Rachel ever manages to rehabilitate her standing remains to be seen. Some say she's too talented to be written off entirely. Others argue she burned bridges she'll never repair. For better or worse, the story stands as a testament to how quickly fortunes can reverse in Hollywood, especially when the magical glow of a fairy tale meets the uncompromising glare of public scrutiny. If there's any moral in this modern saga, it's that legacy matters. People who grew up loving these stories want to see them handled with care and respect. The moment they suspect mockery or disdain, they retreat, and they take their dollars and influence with them. Hollywood, once comfortable telling fans what to like, must now adapt to a world where fans talk back louder than ever, where social media can ruin a reputation in a matter of hours, and where authenticity counts for everything. If anyone doubts that, they only need to look at the wreckage left behind by a supposedly guaranteed blockbuster that collapsed under the weight of hubris, leaked messages, and a deeply alienated audience. For anyone who thrives on these dramatic Hollywood twists, the Snow White saga offers plenty of cautionary wisdom. It shows how a single breach of trust can turn an already delicate production into a pop culture punchline. It demonstrates that behind the glitz of big-budget filmmaking lies a delicate interplay of fan goodwill, corporate strategy, and star power. And it leaves a lingering question for other actors and studios. Will they learn from this cautionary tale, or will they risk another fiasco by underestimating the very people who decide whether a movie soars or sinks? In the end, The Meltdown serves as a story about the fragility of stardom and the power of public perception. It reminds us that, even in the age of multi-million-dollar productions and global marketing machines, an actress's offhanded group chat jokes can destroy months, if not years, of meticulous brand building. It only takes one spark to ignite a PR inferno. And once the flames are blazing, no kingdom, no castle, and no iconic fairy tale dress can shield anyone from the fallout.